Hello everyone and welcome to my module on managing human resource or human resource management. Before I go ahead with the next topic, let me recapitalize as to what we have done in our previous lecture. In a previous lecture, I have been talking about things related with grievances. If you remember, grievances, they are nothing but they are just the dissatisfaction or the discontent which an employee can have because of any of the reasons related to the employment. Now, we also know that in the case of grievances, there are different ways by which the grievances can be discovered, maybe through it can be through suggestion boxes or gripe boxes or through surveys, etc. and etc. Then at times we also know that what are the reasons as to why people are dissatisfied in an organization. It can be all related with the terms of employment. Now today what we are going to talk about is we are going to talk about something related with grievance handling, which is very, very important. It is always said that in case when the management has actually identified the problem, it should be nipped in the bud, because if it is not done so, it can aggravate to a major problem or it can take the shape of a dispute also. So ideally it's the responsibility of the HR department and the management to take care that at any point of time their people are unhappy because of any reason. They should go deep down and find out the reason and make best possible efforts to settle it. My dear friends, as you can see on the screen, the existence of a sound channel, that means there should be a proper way by which the problems can be sorted out. Secondly, the procedure should be simple, definite and prompt. That basically means that if people, they should know that in case if there is any problem, where they are supposed to go and how they are supposed to proceed. Then it should be clearly defined. People should be aware of the grievance procedure. It should be very crystal clear in the eyes of the management as well as in the eyes of the workers or employees. Helpful attitude of management. Now this says that the management should always take into cognizance that they are eager to solve their problems, because if they do not show their eagerness, then that means there would be a high level of dissatisfaction which can be a big bottleneck in the attainment of the goals of the company. Fact-oriented system. Now this basically says that okay, if anybody says that somebody is having such and such problem, but it is the duty of the management to go down and find or collect facts related to that particular problem and then sort a solution for it. Then respect for the decisions. Now if any decision has been taken as a result of the procedure which is there, I'll be discussing about that procedure at length in few minutes from now. Therefore it is important that the decisions that are taken, they should be actually honored by both the management as well as the workers. Adequate publicity of the procedure basically means that people, they should be well aware about their grievances and the way it is going to serve, because we know that why we are having this kind of grievance redressal, because we know that because there are certain bad effects of grievances also, and if there is not enough publicity, then the efforts will not be taken to solve those problems. And ideally what happens is that there are bad effects of grievances on the productivity, employees, they can be affected, and above all managers or people who are taking care of the work, they can also be affected. For example, in the case of production, there can be some kind of reduced output or the wastage of resources can be there, or at times there can be increase in the production cost. Where we are talking about employees, there can be a high level of frustration, there can be conflicts, there can be strikes, there can be poor performances, there can be unrest, indiscipline, absenteeism, resignation, low morale, low productivity, so on and so things. Whereas the managers are concerned, of course the managers or supervisors, they will be stressed out, there will be bad relationships, there will be no peace and democracy that would be maintained, and of course there would be an increase in the indiscipline cases. Therefore it is said that there should be enough publicity of the procedure so that people, they know that in case of at any point of time they have got any problem, these problems, they can be sorted out. Reason being because there are adverse effects of grievances. So it is obviously in the interest of the management to help for zero grievance rate in the organization. That is what actually the organization aims at. Then periodic review, it says that the procedure should be reviewed from time to time so as to ensure that cordial and harmonious relationships they are maintained and there are no bottlenecks and the grievances are sorted as soon as they are identified. Then it is said that why we actually need a grievance procedure. Now we know that grievance procedure is needed in an organization due to a number of reasons. As I told you that it can have adverse effect on the production, on the people, on the managers. There can be low level of production, or maybe then a high level of turnover can be there, absenteeism can be there, people can feel stressed out, and as a result of that there can be cases of indiscipline. Therefore, why do you think that we need a grievance procedure? Let's have a look at it. Identification of grievance in nature. Why? Because we have to identify the and have the analysis of grievances. Reason being, it has adverse effects. So in order to remove these effects, we need to have that kind of identification and analysis part. Second, it helps in formulating and implementing the policies and programs. If there is no grievances, then the policies and the programs of the company, they can be easily administered. It is problem solving dispute settlement mechanism. Why we are talking about the problem solving? Because this problem solving is going to have a bad impact on all of them. So it's always desirable that these problems, they should be sorted out very quickly. And we know that at times that even if a grievance is not settled in an employee's favor, still the employee may feel satisfied because of the opportunity that he has been given to communicate and to be heard by the management. So that is why we need to have that grievance redressal procedure. Then strengthen good industrial relationship. We all know that it's very, very important that in any organization there are harmonious and nice relationship that exists between the management and the workers or the employees. So that harmonious relationship can only exist when there is peace, and this peace is only possible when their grievances, they are settled very nicely. And we also know that this grievance redressal is also needed for the benefit of employees also, and we know that if the grievances, they are not redressed, then it can adversely affect the employees' motivation, morale and productivity, and then naturally what will happen, my dear friends, that this TRS, if you remember, trust, respect and support, will not be generated in any organization. Then it detects the flaws in working condition and helps to take corrective measures. Why this grievance procedure is necessary? Because we can detect where the company is actually lacking and the corrective actions can be taken. So once these corrective actions, they are taken, actually develop the trust of employees in the organization, it motivates them, and then definitely the policies which have been initiated at the top level, they can be implemented in a proper way. And above all, what happens is the grievance procedure, it serves like a outlet for employees discontent and frustration. People are free to they can always vent out, they can always voice their problems, and then if you get an opportunity, half your problem is already solved. And this grievance procedure also gives confidence or creates confidence among the employees, because it is ultimately going to improve their working condition and atmosphere. Then, as I told you, that it builds good morale, maintains code of discipline, and this discipline, my dear friends, it's essential for the effective productivity, and that is what we are actually chasing at. And above all, if there's a proper grievance procedure, the company or the management can actually identify the areas of improvement, and then the required actions can be taken. And at times it also helps in the collection of the facts and evidences, probing questions and analysis, as we talked about in the other one, that can actually facilitate impartial decision making. And wherever there is no partiality or there is impartial decisions, so naturally it will definitely boost up the confidence level and morale level of the people, and then this morale level and this high motivation level reflects in the productivity. Now, there are certain principles of grievance handling also, as I told you, that firstly the grievance should be dealt within the limits of the first line manager. Now, what happens is at any point of time, if workers, they are facing any problem, it's not possible that you straight away go to the top management. So one has to move step by step, or maybe you can report your problem to the immediate supervisor, and if he is not able to solve it, then it goes up in the hierarchy. So that it was says that in case of identification of any grievance, or if any aggrieved employee is there, he or she should report it to the first line manager first, or first line supervisor. then the appellate authority should be made clear to the employee, so that if he cannot get satisfaction from his immediate supervisor, he can move on to the next step. Now, grievance procedure is also a step ladder procedure that I'm just going to discuss in few minutes from now. The grievance should be dealt with speedily. Now, this is very important, like if anyone feels hungry, the person feels that okay, I should get the food immediately, only then he can satiate his or her hunger. In that similar fashion, if the decisions are delayed or if the justice is denied to the workers, then definitely it can always increase the frustration level of the people, which will eventually get reflected in the productivity of the company. In establishing a grievance procedure, if the grievances is against an instruction given by the superior in the interest of order and discipline, the instruction must be carried out first, and only then the employee can register his protest. So, this is also a kind of a prerequisite which is required in the grievance handling. Now, what happens is that grievance procedure varies from industry to industry and from trade union to trade union because of the variation in the size of organization. So, we all know that in case if the organization is very huge, then of course there would be a lot of complexity in the decision making or in the or maybe in the carrying out of the work. So, the smaller the organization, the better it is. So, that is what it says, that grievances, they can be sorted out by different ways in different organization, which actually differ in their size and structure. Trade union strength and the management philosophy and the company tradition, industrial practices, and in the cost factor. Naturally, what happens is in an organization, all those things that you can see on the screen, they play an important role in handling the grievance procedure. Then, when we talk about the procedure, there are basically two steps. One is the open door policy and another is the step ladder procedure that we follow. Now, in the case of open door policy, under this policy, aggrieved employee. Now, who is an aggrieved employee? The person who is having some kind of problem, he or she is regarded as an aggrieved employee, and we know that the policies, they should be very much crystal clear, and they should be people, they should know about the grievance procedure, or we can say that there should be a fair demonstration of the grievance procedure, which should be very definite, clear and easy to understand. So, even if the aggrieved employee is there, he is free to meet up the top executive of the organization and get his grievances redressed. That means anybody can come into the chamber of the maybe the manager or maybe the higher authority, and then they give a listening ear to the problems of the aggrieved employee. Such a policy works only in small organization. As I told you, the larger the organization or the bigger the organization, there would be more problem. So, if you have a very small organization where few people are working and maybe just two people who are taking care of the entire administration of the company, in that case you can have a kind of an open door policy. But on the reverse side or on the flip side, if the organization is very huge, large number of people are working, and maybe the structure is very complex, then this would definitely not work. Moreover, it is believed that open door policy is suitable for executives, operational employees may feel shy to go to the top management. So, definitely they are talking about that this may be feasible for the people who are actually working in the lower level, and they are the person who are free to go to the higher level people and can have a discussion. Now, the second most important type of grievance procedure that we have, or we also call it as a redressal machinery. What do we call it as? We also call it as a grievance redressal machinery. So, grievances, my dear friends, they are always redressed. We have to understand this. So, under this step ladder procedure now, or we can say the model of the grievance procedure, here what happens is that there are steps that has to be followed, and in the step ladder policy, the aggrieved employee has to follow a step-by-step procedure, as I told you, for getting his grievance redressed. And in this procedure, whenever an employee is confronted with a grievance, he presents it to his or her supervisor, immediate supervisor. So, if the employee is not satisfied with the supervisor's decision, then he can discuss his grievance with the departmental head, and if with the departmental head, he or she may discuss the problem with the joint grievance committee to find a solution. And however, if the committee also fails to redress the grievances, then it may be referred to the chief executive. So, what I am trying to tell you, that there is a step-by-step ladder that has to be followed, and people are given an opportunity that they should should actually report their discontent with their immediate manager or supervisor, and definitely this model helps in the creation of the entire machinery, and one can always move in a step by step way to address the problems. So, however, as I told you that if a person is moving to the immediate supervisor, then maybe the departmental head, or maybe when then departmental head is not able to solve the problem, then he or she may can go to the committee. So, however, if the committee also fails to redress the grievance, then it may be referred to the chief executive. If the chief executive also fails to redress the grievance, then in such a case, what will happen? It will go for the voluntary arbitration, where the award of arbitrator is binding on both the parties. Now, this word may be a new word for you. So, arbitrator is nobody. Arbitrator is a person who is a neutral party who intervenes between the fighting parties or the conflicting parties, and the decision that has been given by the arbitrator, it has to be obeyed and honored by both the parties. Now, in the grievance handling procedure, there is initial step, intermediate step, and final company union step. Now, these are the three steps which are actually followed, but in our normal parlance, when we talk in terms of HR, as you can see here also that we have an aggrieved employee. The aggrieved employee will report to his immediate supervisor. He is not going directly to the arbitration. He will immediate the problem to the supervisor. If the supervisor is not able to solve it, then he will go to the middle management. If the middle management is also not able to satiate or solve the problem, redress the problem, then it will go to the top management, and if the top management is also not able to do it, then the matter shall be referred for arbitration. So, arbitration is basically nothing but is just the neutral third party in between. So, here also in the case of aggrieved employee, we all know that these employees, they are connected to the trade unions. Why they are connected to the trade unions? Because they feel a sense of belongingness, and they feel that okay, in case of any problem, there are people who are going to help him. So, naturally these unions, they are again connected with the grievance committee, and again there is a union leadership who is involved in the settlement procedure. So, naturally with the top management as well as the top union leaders, they both make an attempt to solve the grievances of the employee. Then again, as I told you, there's a step-by-step ladder procedure. This is what is the chart that talks about. Here it says that here we have an aggrieved employee. So, aggrieved employee will report the problem to the immediately the supervisor or maybe the departmental representative, and who once the problem has been addressed to the departmental representative, he has to give his answer within 48 hours. So, if the person is not able to solve the problem within 48 hours, then the matter will go to the, or if he fails to provide with the solution, the aggrieved employee can take his grievance to the head of the department. Here, third point, my dear friends, this is third point, the head of the department, who has to give his decision within 3 days. So, even if he fails to give the decision, or if the aggrieved employee is not satisfied with the decision of the departmental head also, then he can take the grievance to the grievance committee. Now, grievance committee, again, as we know, that committee is like where we have the representatives of the people who are going to sort out the problem. So, basically the grievance committee makes its recommendation to the manager within 7 days. It says that okay, you have followed the step, the recommendations, they are made within the 7 days, and then the final decision of the management on the report of the grievance committee, it must be communicated to the aggrieved employee within the 3 days. So, even the if they are taking 7 days, but ideally it is expected that they will be communicating the decision of the management in consultation with the recommendation of the committee within the 3 days. Supposing if the aggrieved employee is again not satisfied, then an appeal for the revision for the final decision can be made by the worker, and even if it is not done, or if the person is not satisfied, or in other words, what we can say is if the grievance still remains unsettled, then it can be referred to the chief executive of the company. And if even when we have the chief executive, again, as we told you that that all the collection of the information will be done, all the analysis part would be done, and the decision can be taken. But in case if the agreed employee is still not very happy, or if the grievance remains unsettled, then ideally it will move on, or it will be referred for the voluntary arbitration. So, this is actually a step by step ladder procedure that we call it in HR, and of course we have to be very careful that we have to keep certain points while dealing with the grievances, whether it is the departmental head or head of department, that proper complaints they are actually listened to, and effort should always be taken to go to the root cause of the problem. And of course an anxiety or an inquisitiveness should be shown by the management to speed up the process of giving justice to the aggrieved employee. And at times what happens is, as we all know that we had discussed that the grievances, they can be factual also, they can be imaginary also. So at any point of time, if the grievances are imaginary, then effort should be made to counsel the workers, and then again we have to take all the precautions that if the facts are real and genuine, then they are actually settled at the best level. And the management should also give a very proper listening ear to the employees' grievances. The management should always verify the records before coming to any of the conclusions, and of course it is always desirable that there should not be any delay in providing a solution. And at times when we are talking about the voluntary arbitration, then the amicable solutions can be provided to people. So what happens is, like as we know that grievance procedure is a systematic way by which the problems can be sorted out. So naturally, if the procedure is very clear, definite, simple to understand, it will always encourage employees to raise their concern without the fear of reprisal, or they feel that they will not be reprimanded. And of course it provides a very fair and speedy means of dealing with the complaints. At times there can be some kind of minor disagreements developing, but if they are settled properly, then it will definitely not take the shape of the disputes. And ideally it's always desirable that they should always come to an amicable solution, because that will definitely help people to build a conducive organizational climate of openness and trust. So this is a kind of a help desk that is there. I thought of putting it, and again help desk people are there. So at any point of time, if the help desk is there, so if you are given an opportunity to tell about your problem, half your problem is solved then and there only. So same is the case here also. If the management gives a listening ear to the problems of the employee, so half of their problems they get settled. And as I told you, if there are factual grievances, then of course the analysis has to be there, perfect collection of the data has to be there, and verification has to be there. However, if it is an imaginary one, then definitely people can be counseled to settle down. So here also, as I told you, the aspect is like reassurance has to be given by the management, and is like it may be quite biased. We have to understand that the employee's conception of his problem may be quite biased. That is why the management should always show a fair picture, collect all information and get it verified, and he or she, or maybe the management, should always give a very active listening ear to their problems, and they should show that they are also in the process to speed up the settlement procedure or grant them the justice. So it says that he gets it off his chest, so to say. It does a lot of good for his morale, as revealed by the famous Hawthorne studies. So naturally here the morale will only be high. This morale is all connected with the productivity, my dear friends, if you remember. So this morale will only be high. Morale is for the group and motivation is for the individual. So if the problem at the individual level or the group level they are sorted out, naturally it will help in the increase in the morale of the people. So as I was talking about the new word, the arbitration. So as I told you that arbitration is nothing but just the neutral third party entering into the scene. So it says that the union can temporarily or permanently drop the issue, the union can call for a strike, and the case may be submitted to an impartial arbitrator. So at any point of time, if you hear the word arbitrator, it's basically the neutral third party entering between the management and the employees. So definitely there can be an arbitrator, can be a single person, or it can be in the panel. And definitely, as I told you, one of the striking feature of the arbitrator is that arbitrator is a neutral third party who is brought in the scene to to settle the dispute between the parties, and he may be or she may be hired for the particular cases, or can be a permanent official of the industry also, and generally the person may be acceptable by both the management and by union. Please don't underestimate the value of unions in any organization. That plays a very crucial role in maintaining the peace and democracy of the company. So the arbitrator is basically no one but the third party who is brought into the scene for the purpose of the settlement of the dispute. So in a nutshell, we can say that grievance is nothing but is just kind of a discontent or dissatisfaction that one can have, which can be real or which can be imaginary. And above all, what is more important is to boost up the morale and motivation of the entire organization. It is very essential that there is a speedy process of the grievance redressal. As soon as the problems are identified, the effort should be taken, or the keenness should be shown by the management that yes, they are eager to solve the problem at the earliest. And if these problems they are not sorted out in any regard, then definitely it will be detrimental to the interest of the workers also, or employees, or the management also. So ideally there are two kind of procedures that we have discussed: the open door, and of course the step ladder procedure. Open door is basically for the ones where we have lesser number of people working in the organization, where people are free to enter into the managers or maybe the head's chamber and vent out their problems and ask for a solution. Whereas in the case of step by step ladder procedure, in that case there are different steps which are involved, there are time durations which are actually involved, and it is expected that the people who are responsible, they will be sorting the problem, and if the problem so posed by the aggrieved employee or the kind of solution which is being provided to them, if they remain dissatisfactory to the aggrieved employee, then they can move on to the next level. And ideally, my dear friends, what you have to bear in mind, if you are the management or if you are the employees, if you happen to be the employee, please have that courage to go and vent out your problem, and if you are the management side people, then please show that keenness in solving the problem, because eventually what will happen, if you do not show that kind of keenness, then there can be adverse effect on the production, on the people, and on the management. So definitely in any regard, if the production is getting suffered, the people are not happy, the stakeholders are not happy, the managers are feeling stressed out, then naturally there would be a rise in the cases of absenteeism or turnover, or maybe indiscipline cases, which is definitely not at all desirable. So that's all that I have for you in the grievance settlement procedure. I shall catch up with you in the next video with a new topic. Thank you so much for watching this. Stay tuned.